Thanks, Ricky. Good evening, everyone. Brian Sanderson. It's a real pleasure to be with you tonight. Thank you for coming out. Thank you to the organizers for hosting this, to the other candidates, and to Ricky Matthews for doing what he does so well. No one knows what makes great communities and great leaders like Ricky does, and he's one of them. I'm really excited tonight to tell you why Maria and I, my wife, are supporting Melanie Allen. And it's reasons that are very personal to us. Our involvement on this campaign is completely from a volunteer capacity, but we have very selfish motives in doing it, and I'll tell you about those in just a moment. I've known Melanie for 10, 12 years now. In that time, Maria and I, as you may know, have the opportunity with our jobs to travel around the country doing the work that we do, working with Republican candidates. Most of those run for governor. We get to know them, understand what makes them tick, what makes them effective or not so effective leaders. And having that experience and knowing Melanie, I can tell you without hesitation that she has the qualities, the leadership, and the experience to make a great leader for our town. She will be exceptional. And I tell you this for a few reasons. She has the brass tacks and she has the vision. She knows how to keep the streetlights on, how to keep our ball fields open, how to balance the city checkbook. But she also knows how to bring people together, to convene them, to talk, and to create those aspirational visions that we all want for our community and that we have here today. I want to keep that going. She knows every corner, every ditch, every street in this city, not because she's prepped for some forum like this tonight. It's because of her decades of volunteerism and service and working beside you for the betterment of this city. And because of that, I know what she'll bring to the office of mayor if the citizens of this city give her that honor. And she will work for you tirelessly day in and day out. So in closing, let me just tell you the very selfish motivation that Maria and I have for supporting her. And that's because we have 3 children, all under the age of 8. In 15, 20 years from now, when they're making a decision where they want to work and raise their family, I want them to choose where we're making our home. And I want the city government that we're about to elect for the next 4 years, I know it's going to go, the ramifications of what we decide in a few months will go well beyond the next 4 years. They will have generational impacts. We've got to get it right. I believe the right choice is Melanie Allen. I would recommend that you support her, and I'll wholeheartedly do so. So now I'll turn it over back to you, Ricky, or back to Melanie. Thanks.
Hi. Hi. Okay. I do want to start out by saying that we all offer our prayers and our deepest heartfelt thoughts to the families of Deputy Sheriff Boutte and for the family of League Brumfield, who was someone many of us knew and thought the world of. I'm a Republican candidate for mayor of Ocean Springs, and I'm qualified for this job. I don't bring the enthusiasm and the knowledge of cruising the coast in situations like that Chick has. I'll never have that. Kenny has a family legacy and deep family ties in Biloxi, Natchez, and here, and I can't compete with that. Jeff has 13 years of weight in the legislature, and I'd love to see him use his seniority up there to help us down here a little longer. And Summer, who you've met, I don't know well, but I think the young lady has a lot of potential. I enjoyed talking with her, and I look forward to getting to know her better. I present my combination of education, business experience, and proven leadership and clear vision. I'm about a left-brained, right-brained person as you're ever going to meet. I am deep inside a nerd. I like analysis, I like data, I like detail. I need backup information. My people, as we say down here, are from Boston. I was raised by my grandparents in South Florida. My grandfather was a vice president with 20th Century Fox, and I'm happy to say that as that self-made man who did well in life and could not stay retired, I seem to have modeled myself after him. Dinner in our household growing up required debate, having watched Walter Cronkite, and my introduction to politics was really with Nixon. My family loved Richard Nixon, and I would go with my grandmother when friends were over and put Nixon bumper stickers over anything else they had on their car. I was a Heritage Foundation scholar, a DuPont scholar. I was able, because of my academic background, to start college in Boston at 16. I grew up playing golf. I made my pocket money giving golf lessons and tutoring people, and I'd likely have continued as a professional golfer if I hadn't fallen in love with a professor my second year in college. I still believe you can find out a lot about a person from the way they act on a golf course, when people are looking and when they're not looking. So by 25, my career and my life arc, I was a married woman, a mom, a business person. My education no longer meant philosophy and literature. It meant taking business, accounting. It meant learning marketing and promotion. It meant going to Spring Hill, and instead of taking other classes, I took real estate law and tax law. 10 years later, I was starting over as a divorced mom with a little boy. I realized that the best potential for my son and myself was for me to go into business for myself. But in the meantime, I worked for other companies in Mobile, and my effort was to find good employment that had benefits and health insurance for my boy. In going into business for myself, it was not turning on a switch overnight. Like many of you, my business built up by working overnight, working late at night, working weekends, building one account as another. I owned a successful communication company, and what I learned was that when you finally grow 6 figures in a business, and you start becoming successful, you have self-employment taxes. You have human resources issues. It is not easy. I also learned it's not what many of you know. It's not how much you make. It's how much you legally can take home. My career with communications brought me to Biloxi because I had a client in Coastal Family Health Center. I wrote grants and administration for them that brought in over $22 million in funding. That experience of coming to Biloxi was how I discovered Ocean Springs. So when my son went to college in 1995, I moved from Mobile to Ocean Springs. Katrina affected me like it did many of you. I would not have a mortgage today had I had flood insurance. It taught me the value of community. It meant not just writing checks once or twice a year to a nonprofit. It meant going out there, doing the work, not complaining about things or sitting around talking about how they ought to change. It meant being part of an organization, doing things, showing up. Brian and I have put together a packet which we're going to distribute to you that has information about me. And I want to say to you, if you dismiss me as someone who is only interested in arts and culture, I ask you to take another look. I'm a business person. I know the success and the freedom that doing well in life brings you. And if you look at the projects I've been involved in and led in Ocean Springs, I've been a leader in Jose for many years, Historic Ocean Springs Association. Jose has invested over $700,000 in projects in this community. That has economic impact. If you think my involvement with PAPOS, a public art project, is too frilly, we've placed $161,000 worth of respectable, beautiful, impressive art in this community. And every award this community has gotten in the last decade has mentioned public art. If you think my involvement with the Land Trust makes me a tree-hugging liberal, you're wrong. I understand that business and the environment can coexist, and we have to, especially here where we fight gravity and Mother Nature always as living along the coast. So my work with the Land Trust has been about bringing focus on art at 12 Oaks, which is one of our properties here in Ocean Springs. And that goes along with Jackson County's focus on promoting Jackson County as nature's wonderland. So when we combine art and we combine nature, we bring people to this community for many reasons. I'm the nerdy person who does my homework. I'm prepared for meetings. I love a P&L as much as I love a historical biography. I believe this city is ready for proactive management. I think the success in Ocean Springs, the key for success in Ocean Springs is communication with our citizens. Social media has its place. It is not an excuse for face-to-face dialogue. The wealth of talent in this room tonight speaks to me of the need for more advisory councils in this community. We used to have an active economic development advisory council in this community. We talk about beautification. We have a wealth of information here and value. We know the value of it. Beautification is not just planting flowers, it's branding our community as a special place, a place we love. We can talk about our love of Ocean Springs all day, but if the gateways don't look like we love this place, if our community pride is not raised to the level where we are proud to live here. I could live anywhere in the world. I choose to live here. Some of you are natives. Some of you have made the same choice. We need to maximize efficiency and effectiveness of our city government by promoting, by recruitment and retention efforts, and by providing opportunities for advancement and continuing education. That's how you keep good people in a community. And when we talk about transportation and we talk about widening Highway 90, I will ask you to consider that Ocean Springs as a community has been formed by modes of transportation. You look at our history. We began at the foot of Jackson Street, where there was a dock and steamships and other boats could stop. We were a stopping off point to somewhere else, and the community grew around that. As railroads came in, am I getting close? As the railroads came up, the community crept up Washington. So the question is with Highway 90, do we want a speedway or do we want a boulevard? Our existing comprehensive plan does not call for a 4 or an 8 lane highway. Do we want people to go through Ocean Springs or visit and appreciate Ocean Springs? So I'm going to close by saying, why did I run? I had a good friend the other night say, Melanie, you have a near perfect life. Did you lose your mind? I did not. I want to return to this community what you've given me. That whisper in my voice, in my heart, told me it's time. When I was looking for someone else to run, God whispered to me, it's you. And that whisper became a roar, and it's now a passion. I want to be the next mayor of Ocean Springs. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. We'll start with the submitted questions first, and the first question is this. What is your vision for the city of Ocean Springs? What are the things you have done and experienced in life or business? You've covered some of those already, that's good. That have prepared you to operate the city in the executive role. Please be specific about how you're equipped to prepare the city budget and managing personnel, including hiring your executive staff. This includes, of course, acting as the face of the city.
Okay, that's one question, right, Ricky? Okay, that's a broad one. My vision for Ocean Springs is a community that has grown by plan and not by momentum. We are going to grow, we know that. We have done the homework for it. We've become popular, we're a destination location. Because of that, we have the opportunity to have momentum move us forward and we become Anywhere USA. Or we take this time for an ongoing community conversation. And believe me, communication and collaboration, those are things I firmly believe in and were core to my success in business. We have to decide collectively who we want to be. Do we want to just be bigger? Do we want to retain the authenticity of this town? People have found us. People have selected us. People choose us as a destination. They come here and stay at the Roost because of who we are now. If we let any business come into town, and we are not proactive. We should actively be looking for who we need in Ocean Springs. The issue with the Dollar General on Highway 90 is one. That property owner has a right to make a profit. There is nothing legally inappropriate about that business being there. Our business, our city, should be managed to where we are looking down the road. We are not coasting on the past. We should say, what are the things we can do to accentuate our gateways, to pull people in. Our sister cities have been amazingly growing. They have upped their assets in the last decade. Billy Hughes is doing a fabulous job in Gulfport. When people with money in their wallet go down Highway 90 or they go down I-10, they make a choice where to get off for lunch. They make a choice where to get off and spend the night. When they come down the interstate, which gateway do we want them to come in? From the west, the north, the east? Do they equally say this is an extraordinary place? I don't think they do. We need to. As far as budgeting and key staff, I have managed budgets of over 12 million. I've never managed a budget as large as the cities. But I understand business. I understand a P&L. I understand a balance sheet. I understand trends. I like analysis. Key staff is kind of already put together in this format. We have an organizational chart for the city. The aldermen at the top of that organizational chart, the mayor works for them. My key staff would be department directors. I have taught and been paid for strategic planning for many companies through the years. I would put those efforts to work.
The next question is this. Ocean Springs has an aging water and sewage infrastructure that requires attention. Highway 90 has significant congestion. Challenges exist in most neighborhoods. While we understand you cannot fix infrastructure needs in one term, how do you view them in terms of priority, and what is your long-term vision for solving them?
Long-term vision for
solving them.
For solving them, okay. Again, I'm going to go back to community conversation. We need to be looking for patterns of traffic. We need to be spending our resources from public works, from all city services, from one limit of the city to another. There's a lot of concern whether our resources are fairly shared. First part of the question again.
Yes, it was about just water and sewage infrastructure, Highway 90.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Infrastructure in particular has got to be a priority for this community. I have spent some time talking to Sarah Ainsworth. I've spent time talking to Ken Papania recently. Both of them have expertise in waste management and in sewer and drainage. The city of Ocean Springs has a main ditch, as they call it, that goes down Bechtel, I believe, is a main part of how we drain this city. Drainage is amazingly important. It's not sexy. It doesn't bring people into restaurants, but if you don't have it, you're in trouble. Our infrastructure we should have a plan right now. I know we're about 20-25% into a plan for the big ditch with the county. It's going to take exceptional collaboration between the county and the city to know the timeline of that project and push it forward. It's extremely important. There is nothing more important as we look at the economic development in eastern Ocean Springs than drainage. We are fighting gravity and Mother Nature. The places we have opportunities for growth have drainage problems. We cannot add development and endanger residences, but it's a long-term project that cannot be ignored and needs to be addressed and talked about every month from now till forever.
Thank you. The next question is, people believe that Ocean Springs' economy is doing well. Do you see gaps in our local economy, and if so, what are they? And how would you recommend filling those gaps?
Yeah, I think, again, it goes to proactive management with that question. We do look like we're doing well. The tax rolls are doing well. And that's a great thing. I think in some ways we're coasting on our past reputation. I think that competition is built up around us in our sister cities. And I think we need to be aware of that. We are a brand. Ocean Springs is a business. We are a product, and we need to be aware of that. We need to serve our citizens and promote our economic development so that we preserve our tax base, but we need some diversity in our tax base. We need light industry in here. We need some tech in this area. We are a highly retail service hospitality community. You know, in your personal investment portfolios at home, you don't put all your stocks, your money in one stock. You diversify. When you diversify, there is protection. If you don't, you're taking a risk. We should know right now, our citizens and our business owners should be telling us, where are the gaps right now? We should be aggressively working with them, promoting that. We have way too much real estate that's empty. We need to be addressing empty properties as well. Is that my time limit? Okay.
Okay, these were not submitted, so there are 3 of them. Explain how your administration will effectively foster relationships with the Board of Aldermen, the private sector, the county, the state, the federal government to maintain Ocean Springs' charm while responsibly managing growth.
Yeah, that's a great question, and that is the question that lingers for all of us, and it should be dominant in the minds of everyone when you go vote and when you're researching candidates you will consider. This community has an authenticity that is unduplicated anywhere else. We are, I think, the 2nd oldest organized city in the country. It's 1699. If we change just because we can, if we do not protect those particular qualities that make Ocean Springs unique, we will have lost our biggest asset. And I'm sure everybody who's spoken before me has brought that up. As a product, as someone who is able to tell people how to best tell their story, we know the qualities. You know the qualities of the people who come and stay at the Roost. You know the qualities who come to your businesses. Our aldermen have got to work collectively to address the priority issues. We should have a top 5 or 6 issue menu, and we address them often and regularly, and we work the problem. My business approach is you have a vision, you create a plan, you have goals and objectives to achieve that plan, you have a budget and a timeline. It is not what I think about things, it is not how I feel, it is not my opinion. This is business. Ocean Springs needs to be running as a business. Let's go with that.
Thank you. Okay, the next one. There is a perception that the city's focus on beautification has waned in recent years, while challenges like homelessness have increased. These issues impact the quality of life of residents and the experience of tourists and visitors to Ocean Springs. What will you do as mayor to improve beautification and address homelessness and also improve the quality of life here?
Okay. Quality of life is extremely important to all of us. Homelessness is an issue that breaks everyone's heart. I probably have more experience in dealing with the homeless in Ocean Springs than most everybody in this room, maybe collectively, because as an officer of historic Ocean Springs, we maintain Marshall Park downtown. That is a place where you'll see many homeless people. And while my heart breaks for them, I have to say, it is the responsibility of this community, if we're going to take action, to provide some way to transition these folks off the streets into being citizens, real citizens, people who are not unsafe out on the street. If the approach of this community is to address the homeless because they're unsightly and we want them out of the way when we have a festival, well, okay. I think we can do better. Our children are watching. But I'm also someone who goes to Marshall Park and I have to clean up after these folks. That is not fun. You all are not doing that. It's hard not to be angry. There's a place to be compassionate and a place also for anger. And as mad as I am, for example, of Glenn, the large man who's been in Marshall Park for the last month, as mad as I am about cleaning up after him, when I see him eating out of a trash can on Cache Alley, I go to Burger King and buy him food. I am as conflicted about this as everyone. I served on the board of the Mobile Homeless Coalition in Mobile, Alabama. We were able to find resources away from the downtown community. There are some ways to consider that the Lord is My Help as an extraordinary resource. Does it draw people downtown? If you're hungry, you're going to go where there's a meal, absolutely. But the majority of the services from the Lord is My Help are to homebound and shut-in people. Perhaps there's a way we can continue that resource, grow that resource in addressing the homeless problem. But I see this as not being the city's budgetary responsibility to deal with homeless. We need to learn from other communities that have done it well. We need to be respectful of the limitations of the police force. Captain here has explained this. We've had numerous conversations. There are lawsuits across this country that prevent the police from enforcing rules of community standards involving the homeless. The last thing Ocean Springs needs is one more lawsuit. There is a way to combine humanity and practicality and protect the interest of our business owners downtown. For years we talked about homelessness and we said, oh, we need a public bathroom downtown. I do not agree with that. Let's find a way to help transition these folks. The 3 reasons for homelessness normally are mental health issues, drug issues, lack of available housing. This community needs to have an ongoing conversation, deal with existing resources along the coast that are dedicated to the homeless, take advantage of those, be part of the answer, coordinate a community effort, and let's move forward with this.
Thank you, Melanie. Here's the last question. Pascagoula and Gulfport, among other cities, have major economic development projects on the ground or in the works. They are funded through their respective redevelopment authorities. Would Ocean Springs benefit from establishing a redevelopment authority? If so, what should be the goals of such an entity?
Well, I love that question because I'm enthusiastic about a redevelopment authority here, honestly. And I think many of the people in this room would be folks on that council. We can look at opportunities that have been provided to Pascagoula, for example. I looked up redevelopment authorities when I saw that might be a question. And I had the pleasure of talking to Dr. Hal Moore, who is on the board in Pascagoula of their redevelopment authority. It works. It is a way to leverage private investment to the fullest extent. If you can get 25% in support for a project that will add on to your boutique hotel, to put beds upstairs over a restaurant, to expand in some way that will drive economic development in your community, a redevelopment authority is an outstanding way for these decisions to be made on a local basis and provide up to 25% of support. Leveraging public-private partnerships is an exceptional key to the future of this community. It will allow growth in a managed way. The city has to have a plan. The city has to have a comprehensive plan that is up to date, that has changed, because we've changed in the last decade. We are not, in many ways, fulfilling our existing comprehensive plan. If we look at infill, we look at 90, we look at downtown on government, we have some serious issues to deal with because of our own success. It's a great problem to have. But you all should be the people coming up with the answers, not City Hall. Every event downtown should have a post-mortem event. We should be discussing how we can do it better. We know we have traffic problems. Businesses downtown know when they need their suppliers. Let's have a conversation about it. The answers do not come from City Hall. They come from the business community, from citizens in the community, and they work their way. I believe in a driven community from a government from the community up, and I stand by that.
So, Melanie, you have like a minute left if you want to make a closing thought.
Do you have a question for me of any
No,
kind?
that's it.
Not at all? I will take advantage of that probably and say to you that I feel very strongly that this community is at a crossroads. We are not the community we used to be. We're not the community we're going to be. We will move by progress that someone else pushes, or we will define our own future in this community. We know why people love Ocean Springs. We know why many of us choose to live here. the authenticity, the natural resources. The environment here has charm. It reeks of history and culture. It's a place you want to raise your kids. What we want to be is a city where our children will choose to come back and live here after us and invest their dreams, their potential, their sweat equity, everything back into this city. It is our responsibility to create that place for them and to preserve the sense of place that we have here in Ocean Springs. I think that's about a minute. Was that pretty good, Ricky? Yeah. All right. I thank you all for this opportunity. It means the world to me. Face-to-face is how we communicate. I respect everybody else who's running in this race. We're going to have a great mayor when we get finished with this. I just thank you for the opportunity. I ask for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie.